Run it back, Nation. What is good? Listen, I guess this is what we're going to do today. I guess Ramona Shelburne woke up this morning, decided she hasn't written a Ben Simmons article in a while. She hasn't said anything to get some attention on the internet in a while, so she woke up and wrote this story for ESPN Plus. Now, I was going to go on here and read the whole article to you, but of course, it's a clicky, baity headline. You click on it, you get halfway through the article, and you got to pay $6.99 to read the rest of the article. And I did that on the Athletic article that came out the other day. That was total clickbait. I'm not doing it on this one, but I will give you my thoughts if these quotes, if these thoughts from sources or whatever are true. Okay, so let's just go ahead and go through it and talk about it. All right, here's the tweet from the NBA Central. According to sources close to Simmons, he's upset that Embiid seemed to blame him for last season's playoff loss when Simmons did not blame Embiid for Embiid's poor showing in the playoffs against the Toronto Raptors in 2019. Ramona Shelbourne on Ben Simmons. All right, this blows my mind because if Ben thinks this, let's just assume the whole thing is true. Ben Simmons is saying the same thing that all of his defenders have said for years now that absolutely hurts my brain. Because it's like this. If one guy doesn't score at all, if one guy doesn't even want the ball in his hands in the half court, if one guy completely stands in a corner and does nothing, and the other player is taking the ball and trying to win, you can't point at the guy that tried and failed and say, well, because that's what Ben Simmons defenders do. Well, he sold at the end of the game. Joel Embiid missed this shot at the end, or he had a bad foul here or wherever. It's his fault we lost. Meanwhile, Ben Simmons wasn't doing anything the entire game. It's ridiculous. So if Ben's actually saying this, he's on the same page that all his supporters are on, and it's crazy. It's crazy. Ben Simmons did absolutely nothing in that Toronto Raptors series. And then he's going to sit here and say, well, they're blaming me for the Atlanta Hawks series when I didn't blame Joel for his poor showing? It was Joel Embiid and Jimmy Butler. Part of the reason Joel Embiid had a poor showing is because you did nothing. There was a game where Joel Embiid scored 0 points against the Toronto Raptors, and I was mad at Ben Simmons for it. Because if you watch the game, once again, outside of box scores, outside of stats, outside of advanced metrics, if you watch the game, Joel Embiid gets the ball every possession. They're running a zone. They double him. They triple him. And Ben Simmons had 5 field goal attempts in the entire game. So you didn't step up and try to help the guy who's doing absolutely everything by himself. And then at the end of it, you could look at the numbers or you could look at the turnovers in the fourth quarter or whatever you want to do and pick somebody to blame. But if you watch the game, there's 2 all-stars on the team at the time. If you watch that series, there's, Jimmy Butler. 3. But the 2 cornerstones of the franchise, Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, one of them is doing everything and trying his best every possession, and one of them is scared to touch the ball in the fourth quarter. That's my first thought on this quote. There's some good replies on this tweet, too, because look at this, man. If Ben Simmons wants to say Joel Embiid had a bad outing, and I didn't blame him for the Toronto Raptors series in 2019. Here's the Toronto Raptors Game 7, 2019. Joel Embiid, a plus 90. And you know I'm not a big advanced stats guy, and I'm not a big plus-minus guy. But it holds context right here because it shows you who was carrying and who wasn't. If Embiid had more turnovers or had a bad score, a shooting performance or whatever, look at the plus-minus. Where's Ben Simmons on this list? He's a minus 16. He averaged 11 points and 5 rebounds in that series. Ben Simmons averaged 11 points and 5 rebounds in that entire series. And he's going to sit here and say, I'm upset because they blame me for the Atlanta Hawks series, but I didn't blame Joel for his poor outing in 2019. You averaged 11 points. You're supposed to be a franchise cornerstone, number 1 overall pick in the draft. You're supposed to be LeBron James 2.0, and you run away from the game in the fourth quarter. And you did it again in Atlanta. You had 0 field goal attempts in the fourth quarter of 4 straight games. Are you serious? Are you serious? When the pressure mounts the highest At least Joel Embiid takes the ball and will try to do something. Ben Simmons, on the other hand, runs from it, is terrified of the moment, doesn't even want to touch the basketball, and then wants to blame other people for throwing the game. Man. Here's an article written by Sixers Sense on the article that Ramona Shelburne wrote, because I'm not paying $6.99 to read that garbage. I'm just not. Ben Simmons still upset that Joel Embiid and the Sixers blamed him for the loss in Atlanta. This is exactly what Shaq said. He's a crybaby. He's a crybaby. He ran away and asked for a trade. Instead of looking in the mirror and saying, yeah, I didn't shoot the ball the entire series. I wouldn't take a field goal attempt in the fourth quarter to try to help out my teammates who were giving it 110% every possession. I need to be better. No, this kid has been enabled his entire life. He's enabled by the people around him. He's enabled by his family and his friends, and it's bad for him. It's bad for his business. It's bad for his brand. He's lost now $19 million so far in fines, and he could lose $12 million more by the end of the season. Another article that came out. And one of his friends, somebody in his camp is quoted as saying, "We don't give an F about the money." Bro, what's your plan here? You can't live a celebrity lifestyle if you're throwing away $20 million a year. And you're on a max contract. You got to play basketball, because this is the only max contract you're ever going to get. But I'm ranting. Let's get to this article real quick, because I don't want this video to be 45 minutes long, all right? Ben Simmons still upset that Joel Embiid and Sixers blamed him for the loss. The saga between the Philadelphia 76ers and star guard Ben Simmons. We're going to delete this right here, this star part. Delete. Guard Ben Simmons has continued into February now, as Simmons still has yet to play a game for the 31-19 Sixers. The team has essentially moved on as Tyrese Maxey has continued to grow, and now they are looking to improve their... Exactly. What Tyrese Maxey did last night in an overtime game against a great team with an MVP candidate on the other side without Joel Embiid... He put up 33 points, 8 assists, and 4 rebounds, and had huge buckets down the stretch, and made the game-winning layup to put us up by 1 to win the damn game in overtime. I specifically remember a game against the Memphis Grizzlies that Ben Simmons played in without Joel Embiid, and he scored 5 points in 33 minutes. I'll take Tyrese Maxey over Ben Simmons any day. ESPN's Ramona Shelbourne. Here's some, I guess, the most important parts of the article, okay? According to sources close to Simmons, he's upset that Embiid seemed to blame him for last season's playoff loss, when Simmons did not blame Embiid for Embiid's poor showing in the playoffs against the Toronto Raptors in 2019. He's frustrated that Rivers didn't come to see him while he was training in Los Angeles last summer. Are you kidding me right now? Simmons doesn't dispute that he didn't reply when Rivers texted and called him several times over the summer asking to see him, but in hindsight, Simmons feels Rivers and the Sixers could have done more, like show up at a well-known gym in the San Fernando Valley where he was training. Give me a break. This kid is a grown child. This kid is a grown crybaby. This me shit is unbelievable, man. Per Shelbourne, he's also skeptical, sources close to him say, of Sixers president Daryl Morey, willingness to trade him because of his previous pursuit of Harden, who can become a free agent this summer. Simmons would be the best player the Sixers would send in any theoretical trade, and he's upset that the organization is fining him so heavily after he raised mental health as an issue upon his return. Because we know you don't have a mental health issue. You're playing hardball. You ran away, you hid, and now your ego will not allow you to come back. You can't be wrong. You can't admit you were wrong, and now you're willing to throw away your entire NBA career. You're willing to throw away millions and millions and millions of dollars. Because it's me. Everybody's mean. The whole world's mean to me. I didn't do anything wrong. You're a baby. Rich Paul, Simmons' agent, has spent weeks in the fall trying to convince the 3-time All-Star to fly back to Philadelphia as a show of good faith. Simmons did not want to go under any circumstances. This dude is a grown baby. A grown crybaby. Does not take accountability for anything. and is mad that Doc Rivers didn't come visit me in LA. Is mad that people didn't maybe show up to a gym that I was at. Wah. Give me a break. Who's going to want this guy on their team? Seriously, who wants a guy with a mentality like this on their basketball team? Somebody tell me. Daryl Morey, just get it done with. We'll move forward with Tyrese Maxey. We don't need this grown baby on our squad. We don't need this grown baby in our organization. We don't need him. Get him the hell out of here. I'm sick of this garbage, man. Thank you guys for listening, man. Peace.